How are you? My name is Alejandro Labrada, and I want to introduce you to the world of Pressure Man, my comic, manga style comic, and also to introduce you to world building or give my explanation on what world building for a comic book series would be. So here we have on the screen the main characters, what I call my epic poster, because it contains all the characters, all the main characters. You have David Jackson in the middle, of course, who's Pressure Man. Olivia Garvey and Dr. Agnew are to his left and right. They're his confidants. And above his head, you'll see Deanna Harvest, Mad Cat, and Arachnus, who are villains in this story. So I put this poster together just to give me a reminder of the scale and the story possibilities that I could have with the story. Sometimes when you see that the characters all together, it gives you ideas of action sequences you might want to see between certain characters, the colors of their design and things of that nature clashing on the screen. So I'm going to go back and just kind of run you through, since we're on like the epic poster thing, I'm going to show you one more. This is the first team shot that I did, which is just the four main characters, which is Pressure Man, Olivia Garvey, Dr. Agnew. So I'll just start by explaining just a little bit about them, and then I'll go into their personal designs. David Jackson is a security guard at Harvest Laboratories, where they experiment in different biotechnological advancements, as well as some testing, mixing human and animal DNA, which causes for some crazy characters, such as Mad Cat that you saw earlier. David is security guard at this lab. Dr. Agnew, in the green overcoat, is one of the head doctors of science in the lab. He oversees a lot of things. He knows a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, but he's really he's a good-natured guy. He has a lot of patents on different gadgets and inventions and things of that nature. In fact, the robot that's standing right next to him is one of his inventions. And I think I asked my daughter, what should I name him? I think she said Pockets or something like that. But we're gonna come back to that. But that's one of his inventions. Olivia Garvey behind David, who is as Pressure Man in his uniform, also works in the lab. She's a biotechnologist, and she doesn't really know what's going on as much as Dr. Agnew does. She kind of gets caught up in it because David, as a security guard, they kind of have this thing where he tells jokes to her as he passes in the hallway, sees her around lunchtime, and they have a friendly rapport, which could lead to some type of romantic situation down the line, but it doesn't jump off that way. So these are the main four characters of the story. Going into Olivia Garvey's design, so this image I call Olivia's study. In manga, there different artists draw different style faces. They draw different style outlines. Some of the depth of the outlines are thicker. Some of them are really crispy and thin. If you're familiar with anime like Evangelion, it has a very crispy kind of line work. A lot of contrast with heavy black shadows against brighter colors like purple and green and things of that nature. So I study a lot of different styles of manga and anime, and I wanted to see what Olivia would look like under some of my favorite drawing styles. There's a cartoon called Kitty Grade, a manga called Kitty Grade. So this one at the bottom here was drawn in the Kitty Grade style. Right next to her, I think that was the drawing right next to it was kind of like the same style, but it was a little bit more in the hair. If you can see, the hair is a little longer. This one at the top here was drawn in, there's a comic called Gunsmith Cats, which is one of my like all-time favorite animes and manga. And I wanted to see what she would be like in that style. So this is the process of me trying to decide what style I was going to stick to what style suited her the best that I thought. And it was a lot of different styles I drew her in, actually, before I kind of settled on the look I was going for. Trying to pull up one. This is one where I drew her out for coffee. And I think I was pretty good on this style at first. And then I switched to another one. So I think what I ended up with was, where's a good version of it? I will say it's her with the cat. Let's just go through a few and I think this is actually it. Okay, so this is the one that I ended up with keeping because I like the eyes. I like, she has a mature look, but she still has like a youthfulness to her. The line work is really clean. Usually in my own style, I will draw very thick edges on my lines to kind of give a lot of weight. But I had to kind of hold myself back to stay in the styles I was looking at on the screen. Sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things that you're used to get a certain, if you're going for a certain look. If you're trying to like put your own look out there, it's best that you stick with what you're used to and what's natural for you, what's fun for you. But if you're trying to go for a certain look, it's best to emulate that as best as possible. And it also expands your skills with drawing in different styles. So this is Olivia with her cat. This would be her like after work, at home, messing around on a laptop, I don't know, shopping, maybe looking at some interesting news articles about science. She's got a cat there. Just to give her some personality, because you want to answer those questions about your characters, about what would they be doing if they were off, if they were home. I have a folder called Olivia's Apartment, and it's just an image of an apartment that I thought someone like her might stay in. It's a kind of, spacious, colorful. It's pretty simple. I would think to somebody that has a lot to deal with as far as science goes and her job, that she would want things not to be too complicated at home, even though maybe some of her paperwork might be fluttered around and things of that nature. Let's go back. Okay, so that's some stuff about Olivia and her design. And we're going to go through to so David Jackson, and I'm just going to pull up his close-up drawing. This is our hero. The colors that he has on actually were worn by a bum on the street that got killed. I'm sorry, I know it's a little morbid, but one of the characters was a victim of one of the villain's plots and plans. And when he was alive, he used to wear a hat over his hair that was this color. So when David was at some point when he gets used to his powers and he actually decides to go out and do something about the crime on the streets, and he has to decide on what his uniform should be like, the hat that he was given from to keep after his friend passed away had those colors, and he kind of did it in remembrance of his friend. But it also represents a lot of colors of national flags that you'll find in Africa, Pan-African flags. So I wanted to show some representation for that too. That's his uniform. So apartment ideas for David. And I kind of just pulled these images from like Google search and stuff like that. What I would do is I would use these as examples for how I might want to lay out an apartment for David. Just a couch, simple coffee table, flat screen. Maybe he might have some video game stuff going on. If he's a security guard, he's making just about enough money to pay for a decent apartment, doesn't have a lot of time to entertain people and things of that nature, so he's going to be kind of in and out during his shifts and have just about enough comforts of home to just keep him comfortable. So I didn't want the apartment to be too flashy or to be too much rich stuff in there where he was making a lot of money. And you want to keep that in mind when you design the living spaces for your characters, that the living space actually matches their pay grade. Because you're telling a story and you want all these things to be believable. So,
The 10-minute mark, by the way. So.
oh, okay. Was it supposed to be just 10 minutes?
No, just wrap it up. Just
Oh,
keep it within.
okay. So, going on to some of the, and I'll just go to Dr. Cagnew, and we can wrap it up at Dr. Cagnew. Dr. Cagnew, of course, is the doctor that works at the lab who knows about the Parcel 44 that changes David and makes him gives him his powers to be a superhero. And I wanted for him to have a lot of patents and to have a cabin that was outside of the city limits that had a lot of secret doors, secret lab, kind of like in the sense of like Iron Man, like an Iron Man type character. I wanted him to also drive a Duesenberg, which is I'll get to. I don't have pictures of Duesenberg. I do have pictures, but I want to wrap it up. Which is a car. Actually, I do. Which is a car that only has a design. The design is in the Franklin Mint, and they're not. You can't make it unless you have the Mint. But in some kind of way, Dr. Cagnew has a way to get the actual designs from the Mint because of his connections, because of his brilliance or whatever. And this car ends up being like the kind of like the Batmobile style car for the show. So just to wrap it up, just saying you want to use real world elements to build your characters out. You want to use your imagination. Once you know what their jobs are, you want to give them clothes that fit their job, clothes that they would wear when they weren't working. You want to decide where they live, what they drive, what they like to eat. Sometimes you might want to draw pictures of them eating food and things like that. And you just kind of flesh it out. You can use Google Images to find pictures of things that you have in mind, and then you do your own sketches to personalize it to fit the taste of your style of drawing and your characters. So that's building the world out. That's been Pressure Man. I've been Alejandro Labrada. Thank you so much.